years, the city has done little to stop it. About 20,000 vendors operate freely in the city, and many are immigrants, according to KNBC TV. Los Angeles was believed to be the last major city to outlaw the practice until the city council voted unanimously in favor of the changes on Wednesday. The city moved to decriminalize vending, fearing the Trump administration's immigration policies might put some vendors at risk of deportation. However, they could still be ticketed and/or fined. Business groups have pushed for new regulations, arguing areas like the Hollywood Walk of Fame are too congested to accommodate vendors safely. Under the new rules, vendors would still be barred around busy areas like the Walk of Fame, Universal Studios, Dodger Stadium, and the Hollywood Bowl during major events. Debate has endured for years on the issue, with concerns about where and how vending should be allowed, blocked sidewalks, garbage, and business-related matters. City lawmakers were still trying to solve the problem when legislators passed a new state law that bars cities from restricting vendors unless there are objective health, safety, or welfare concerns. That law takes effect in January. For the most part, vendors applauded Wednesday's decision. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the U.S. Army is investing millions of dollars in experimental exoskeleton technology to make soldiers stronger and more resilient in what experts say is part of a broader push into advanced gear to equip a new generation of super soldiers. The technology is being developed by Lockheed Martin with a license from Canada-based BTEMIA, which first developed the exoskeletons to help people with mobility difficulties stemming from medical ailments like multiple sclerosis and severe osteoarthritis. Worn over a pair of pants, the battery-operated exoskeleton uses a suite of sensors, artificial intelligence, and other technology to aid natural movement. For the U.S. military, the appeal of such technology is clear. Soldiers now deploy into war zones bogged down by heavy but critical gear like body armor, night vision goggles, and advanced radios. Altogether, that can weigh anywhere from 90 to 140 pounds when the recommended limit is 50 pounds. Lockheed Martin said on Thursday it won a $6.9 million award from the U.S. Army Natick Soldier Research, Development, and Engineering Center to research and develop the exoskeleton, called Onyx, under a 2-year sole source agreement. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is The Onion Week in Review. In light of reports this week of a Russian crime ring stealing 1.2 billion username and password combinations from internet users, experts from top security firms across the country reportedly advised Americans to refrain from clicking on anything at all. The nation's top security specialists warned individuals to actively avoid any scrolling or swiping on the internet, and further urged Americans, as an added precaution, to steer clear of buttons, keyboards, and computer screens altogether. In other news, an employer botches a job interview. A date's flaws are coming at a woman faster than she can rationalize them, and a going out of business sign thanks a neighborhood for 3 months of no support whatsoever. Whether or not this video news summary eased the pain of your existence, you can now take solace in the fact that you're a few minutes closer to departing this meaningless world. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free and join us right here on the radio. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up here tonight, Darryl, you're going to tell us about the First Step Act, which is some sort of a reduction in mandatory minimums. Is that the proposal?
That's at least what's being touted, and there's
at the federal level.
At the federal level, and there's some allegations being thrown around by some senators about what it would do or what it might not do, and the Washington Post, they decided to run it through their fact checker.
And give us their interpretation of what it will do or not do.
Well, no, they're basically saying, here's what's being said, here's what the legislation would do. These people are either telling the truth or telling lies.
Okay, so we can get into that. Plus, there's the latest on marijuana sales in the Northeast now, because Massachusetts is the first state east of the Mississippi to implement recreational cannabis sales.
Yes.
We went down there last week to check it out in person.
Yeah, still waiting on Maine to actually roll out their legal sales.
Yeah, as I understand it, the bureaucrats there are dragging their feet, so I'm not sure when that's going to happen. Maybe sometime
This is
in
my
2019.
surprised face.
Yeah, maybe sometime next year if they're lucky. But in the meanwhile, we'll tell you about that. Plus, international headlines that I've held on to for a couple of days here between Ukraine and Russia. From the Voice of America this week, Ukraine's parliament approved President Petro Poroshenko's call to impose martial law in parts of Ukraine, bordering Russia in the Black Sea on Monday, a day after Moscow attacked and seized 3 Ukrainian ships and their crews in waters off Crimea. It's the first time the government has taken such measures since the crisis between Moscow and Kyiv began in 2014.
Should be pointed out that Russia says that Crimea is their territory.
Mm-hmm.
There was that vote a couple of years ago where the Crimean people ostensibly voted to secede from Ukraine, and then there was another vote to join Russia.
Really?
So Russia's defense here is, hey guys, you were in our waters without our permission.
Well,
whereas the Ukrainians,
they still believe they own it.
still claim that they own Crimea, and so they think that they were in their waters. And it's really, one of those up to interpretation things, and Voice of America being basically a propaganda wing of the U.S. government, they're going to go with the anti-Russia spin.
Declaring martial law will limit rights and freedoms. Well, I wonder how RT is spinning this one. I didn't even think to look there. That's Russia Today, the Russian government-funded news organization. Declaring martial law will limit rights and freedoms enumerated in 12 articles of the country's constitution. And there's really no way to put a positive spin on that. Right. That's just martial law, and it sucks. Poroshenko said Monday that martial law will help, quote, strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities amid increasing aggression and, according to international law, a cold act of aggression by the Russian Federation, adding that that Ukraine intends to, quote, keep adhering to all international obligations. The measure calls for 30 days of martial law, an apparent concession to opponents, which would allow for elections to be called as scheduled in December. Ukraine is due to hold a presidential election March 31st of 2019. Earlier Monday, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations condemned Russia on Monday for its, quote, outrageous violation of sovereign Ukrainian territory. So it sounds like the United States government isn't respecting the vote of the Crimean people.
Right. RT, by the way, they're reporting. I've not found a report on the vote to impose some kind of martial law.
But just on the shooting or the capturing
the
of the vessels.
capture of the boat. Also, interesting that Voice of America doesn't mention the declaration of war that was voted on by the Ukrainian parliament, that nobody really knows what exactly that's going to mean, because...
Was that also this week?
Yeah.
War? Okay.
There's no way that the Ukrainian military is going to be able to launch a ground invasion against Russia, but RT, just on the capture of the boats, says Russian Federal Security Services, the FSB, say 3 Ukrainian Navy vessels violated its border on Sunday morning and are heading for Kerch Strait that lies between Crimea and mainland Russia. And then they go in to talk about the time, and then they've got a quote from some Russian naval person who says that there's photos that they will make available showing the Ukrainian vessels being escorted by larger Russian patrol ships.
Haley told the council she had spoken with both President Donald Trump and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo before addressing the council, and her statement reflects concerns at the highest level of the U.S. government. She said, quote, this is no way for a law-abiding civilized nation to act. Impeding Ukraine's lawful transit through the Kerch Strait is a violation under international law, is an arrogant act that the international community must condemn and will never accept. Russia, according to the report here, fired on 2 Ukrainian naval ships and rammed a 3rd vessel Sunday in the Black Sea, seizing the ships and then accusing them of illegally entering its territorial waters. And so as a result, Ukraine's parliament is considering the call for martial law, and I guess it was imposed here. According to another story, this is the BBC reporting on this one, Ukraine will not allow Russian men aged 16 to 60 into the country following the imposition of martial law, where they say an exception could be made for a humanitarian case, but such as those traveling to a funeral. But Russia says they're not planning a retaliatory measure. Martial law has been imposed in 10 Ukrainian regions until the 26th of December. So again, this is, probably a pretty scary situation for the folks over there in Ukraine and Russia, given that tensions were already relatively high, and now you've got actual capturing of ships going on. I don't know if that's going to lead to more open violence between the two, but certainly
it would not surprise me.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to really know which of these two sides is the worst bad guy. The Ukrainian government or the Russian government. Joining us now, Chris Wade from Think Penguin. Hey, Chris.
Hey. Yeah, I have to wonder. So I missed part of this, but Ukraine was in basically Ukraine, and Russia has claimed sovereignty now over part because of Crimea, because they weren't claiming it before.
So apparently, according to
back in 2014, the people of Crimea voted to secede from Ukraine.
Oh.
And then a few days later voted to join the Russian Federation.
Okay.
Ukraine does not recognize that vote as valid.
Right.
Just like in Spain with
but Russia recognized it, and they're
of course Russia
waters?
recognizes it.
Oh wow, so they're claiming territorial waters then for
Correct.
Russia.
Right, because
wow.
So Russia's saying this is our strait.
Crimea
you just keep your boats out.
said we don't want to be part of Ukraine, we want to be part of Russia. Of course Russia is going to wind up recognizing that their territory grew.
Yep.
Yeah.
More tax dollars. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's what's going on. You've got martial law going on in Ukraine. You've got potential kind of warmongering sounding things coming out of both countries. And, of course, all the people of these countries will be in worse off shape as a result of these conflicts. Because whenever countries go to war, everybody loses. I know there was this mythology for some time here, and it probably still is prevalent, the idea that when the country's at war, then that helps the economy because then you're making all kinds of things. There's companies manufacturing bombs and all this stuff. Oh, and we got to rebuild this destroyed factory that got bombed out or whatever. That's good for the economy. But that's the broken window fallacy,
right,
as it's called. Can you explain the broken window fallacy?
Yeah, so the broken window fallacy is basically an explanation about, well, if you break a window, then you have to get a new one, which means that the glacier, however it's pronounced.
The glass guy.
The glass guy winds up getting work. The framer that makes frames for the glass, he gets work. And then, they wind up spending money, blah, 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 blah. Well, if the window didn't break, what else could you have done? Maybe you would have bought a new car, new stove,
or
something
whatever
else
you needed to be more productive.
Just bought food.
So we got more coming up here in moments. Your calls and thoughts are certainly welcome. Coming up, the first, what was it called? First Step Act. We'll tell you what that's all about coming up here in moments. Your calls and thoughts welcome. Join us on the radio on Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, It is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
When do you want to spot that burglar? When he's casing your home or after he's in? Ask John, whose Blink camera alerted him of burglars trying to break in while his family was home. Or Shannon, whose Blink camera caught a thief stealing packages. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 AA batteries that last up to 2 years. Blink camera systems make great holiday gifts. So visit blinkprotect.com/holiday. blinkprotect.com/holiday. Blink is an Amazon company. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial toll free to join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Starting out with a little bit of international news. Then coming up, we'll get to the First Step Act, which could be a little bit of a sentencing reform act if it ends up being passed. But Darryl, you've got an analysis of exactly what it's supposed to do, because apparently there's a lot of misinformation going on around about this. And by the way, with you in the studio tonight, it is Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
So I want to make sure that you know about Blink Home Security. We've got it here at the studio. Mark's got it at his house, and it's a very nice wireless system that will allow you to spot naughty things perhaps before they get worse. And Blink will let you know when something's moving in front of the Blink system. It'll send you an update to your smart device, and these are wireless cameras, so it's super easy to get it set up. Just go to blinkprotect.com/holiday, and you'll get a special holiday offer from Blink where I believe it's up to 40% off right now. I think that there's a limited time on this. Let's see, I think it is until the 22nd. Yeah, so
that might not start until Monday.
Oh, really? Okay. Says here on the 29th, but I guess maybe that's just the date it was printed out. But anyway, it may
the email that I got today said don't read that copy until Monday.
Okay, I apologize about that. So,
which is why I set it off to the side instead of in the folder.
Well, anyway, but still the URL is still the same. So it's
yes.
blinkprotect.com/holiday. they may be giving you a better deal on Monday on that, I guess. So let's see here. The BBC reporting that men aged 16 to 60 are not going to be allowed into Ukraine if they're from Russia. And this is part of the month-long, at least month-long, going to be a month-long crackdown, basically, on freedom. They call it martial law. So you don't have the same freedoms that you normally do. They basically suspend the Constitution.
And interestingly, they say it's only going to apply this martial law stuff in 10 of the 25 provinces. Which basically...
The border provinces, I think.
And those provinces, also interestingly enough, around the time that Crimea voted to secede, there were separatist republics that sprung up in the eastern part of Ukraine.
Meaning they also want to secede?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
So they're basically, if it's the eastern part of the Ukraine, then looking at a map here, that's the side that borders Russia.
Yeah.
So essentially the bordering sections of Ukraine where these separatists might be most likely to be located are also the same ones that are under martial law.
Right.
So that's what's going on there. According to the BBC, the restrictions were announced after President Petro Poroshenko met the country's top security officials, including border guards in Kyiv. The president tweeted that the ban was designed to prevent the formation of, quote, private armies in Ukraine. He was referring to Russian-backed separatists who formed units in 2014 to fight Ukrainian government forces in eastern Ukraine. Poroshenko also said registration criteria would be tightened for Russian citizens in the regions under martial law. So get ready to show them your papers. Mr. Poroshenko warned there was a threat of, quote, full-scale war with Russia. He said further, the number of Russian tanks at bases located along our border has grown 3 times. 5 of the 10 regions border Russia, while 2 are adjacent to Moldova's breakaway Transdniester region, where Russian troops are also stationed, and the other 3 regions border the Black Sea, and the Sea of Azov, which are close to Crimea. BBC's Jonah Fisher in Kyiv says the ban could have a devastating impact on cross-border travel as the holiday period approaches, and of course, many Russians have relatives living in Ukraine. Reacting to the Ukrainian ban, Russian Foreign Ministry spokesbureaucrat Maria Zakharova said Moscow was not planning mirror measures, as she said this could result in full madness. So apparently, if you're in Crimea, you might, or not Crimea, but in Ukraine, you might be able to get into Russia if you're allowed to leave Ukraine. But again, you're
not
under
come back.
martial law. Well, again, it's hard to say which one of these governments is worse.
Right.
All governments are bad, and so it really gets difficult to try to figure out which governments.
Do you want to be shot in the shoulder or the kneecap?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really want to be shot at all, but you have to choose one. Which is the least bad, shoulder or kneecap?
Russia earlier said the 30-day martial law had been declared in Ukraine in order to potentially suspend their presidential elections. So the Russian government suggesting that the president of Ukraine, this was all a trick on his part to try to stay in office longer.
Interesting.
Yeah. They said President Poroshenko, whose approval ratings have plummeted, would be the main beneficiary of this situation. And further, Ukraine's SBU State Security Service has searched the property of a senior Russian-backed Orthodox priest in a village about 50 kilometers from Kyiv. The SBU said Metropolitan Pavel was suspected of inciting religious hostility. He's the Father Superior of Kyiv-Perchek Lavra Monastery, one of the most revered sites in Orthodox Christianity, and he told journalists he was a resident at the monastery, not in Voronkiv. He admitted criticizing the leader of the Kyiv Patriarchate, but denied fomenting religious hostility. So there's all kinds of things going on over there. Stricter checks are now expected at the border crossings. Although the ban applies to all points of entry into Ukraine, the main focus is likely to be on the nearly 2,000-kilometer or 1,243-mile Russian-Ukrainian land border. Soon after the conflict began in 2014, Ukraine started building a wall, a system of fortifications along the border. However, the project is still unfinished due to a lack of funds. Maybe that would be similar to what might happen here in the United States if they actually started to build some sort of a wall along the southern border. And in fact, there was a news story recently that I think it was 6 miles of a wall apparently was ordered to be built at a absolutely ridiculous cost. I think it was like $40 million or something like that. I apologize. I actually closed the story out, but it was...
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. So to further complicate the matter, hundreds of kilometers of Ukraine's border are de facto controlled by Russia and pro-Russian separatists to the east. Meanwhile, checkpoints have been set up between Ukraine and Russia, annexed Crimea in the south, and also on the line of separation between Ukraine and the two self-proclaimed rebel republics in the east. And before Friday's ban, Ukraine had already put restrictions on Russian nationals wanting to visit Ukraine. A number of them have been deported for failing to explain the purpose of their visit. Russian nationals, as well as other foreigners, are routinely denied entry into Ukraine if they visited Crimea or the self-proclaimed republics, not via Ukrainian-controlled points of entry. Kyiv has also stopped direct flights between Ukraine and Russia. And at least 3 of the 24 Ukrainians were injured when Russian Coast Guard and special forces attacked their vessels last Sunday. A court in Crimea later ordered the Ukrainians to be detained for 60 days, despite an international outcry. U.S. President Donald Trump canceled a planned meeting at the G20 summit in Argentina with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin over this issue. So there you go. That's the news from the international front, where it's possible war is developing between Ukraine and Russia, with Russia capturing 3 of their Navy vessels, and apparently they're not giving them back. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll focus on sentencing reform here in the United States coming up.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
We know you've had Dragon's Breath in the morning, but you've got to experience Dragon's Breath at night. Wolf Hill Ammo's Dragon's Breath, an incendiary shotgun round in 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and a 410 with an amazing muzzle flash and a fireball that launches up to 125 yards. Pure fun to shoot. At Wolf Hill Ammo, we love shotguns and offer the best specialty shotgun ammo on the market. Visit wolfhillammo.com to see our large selection of specialty shotgun ammo at great prices with flat rate shipping. wolfhillammo.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in here and bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733, whether it's international news, with Russia and Ukraine possibly gearing up for war. There's martial law been declared in Ukraine, in a good chunk of the country there. You can weigh in on whatever you want. And yes, it can happen here. Don't think for a moment that, oh, well, this is just happening in Ukraine, so what do we care? Why should we, pay attention to this sort of thing? Well, again, it can happen here in the same way that they rounded up people in the United States during World War II and put them into camps. That happened here. And it could happen again. With you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And Darryl.
And I do want to make sure you know about Bitcoin.com. They are delighted to announce their partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. Lots of the world's leading brands are on their roster, including Home Depot, Uber, Hotels.com, Nike, Domino's, Applebee's, and hundreds more. Go to giftcards.bitcoin.com. Pick the gift card that you want and follow the instructions on the screen to make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight, and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. It's giftcards.bitcoin.com. As we continue here, Darryl, back to the United States, where there's apparently some confusion over the First Step Act.
Yes.
Proposed legislation that could lead to some tiny bit of sentencing reform.
Yeah, and the confusion here seems to actually be coming from people that should know better. Senators.
All right.
Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, in an op-ed published in USA Today criticizing the First Step Act, wrote, astonishingly, the bill goes soft on some of the worst crimes, trafficking heroin and fentanyl, by allowing most traffickers to spend up to a third of their sentence at home, where many of them will no doubt return to dealing drugs. 11 days later, in a op-ed published in National Review, he wrote, "Let there be no doubt, if the bill is passed, thousands of federal offenders, including violent felons and sex offenders, will be released earlier than they would under current law."
Except that might not be the case.
The Washington Post says it's rare to see a broad mix of Democrats, Republicans, centrists, libertarians, the American Civil Liberties Union, and President Donald Trump all on the same page.
But they're in favor of this
That's
reform?
the case with the First Step Act, an ambitious sentencing reform bill 5 years in the making. Cotton has long been the standard bearer for the opposition. The conservative lawmaker says the 103-page bill will slash sentences for thousands of prisoners, many of them heroin and fentanyl traffickers or sex offenders.
I thought there were only 800 people that were affected by the federal government's...
You're saying there's only 800 people in federal prison?
No, it might have been 2,000 left. Yeah, no, I thought somewhere in this article it said there was like 2,000 people left that were not pardoned already by Obama or died.
I don't know what that means. There's
no, there are more than 2,000 people
in one wing
federal
of
prison.
Yeah, probably
no. But doesn't this specifically affect the law that it's specifically targeting a specific law that enhanced sentences, right?
Let me just continue reading.
Okay.
Trump and his unlikely band of allies are calling on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to hold a vote by the end of the year. The House already passed a version of the bill in May, voting 360 to 59.
Okay.
Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, a Republican, wrote in the Washington Post op-ed published on Thursday, "This bill is the best chance I've seen in decades to help fix the federal prison system in meaningful ways that will reduce crime, lower prison populations, decrease cost, and cut the rate of recidivism." He adds, most important, it will help improve the lives of all Americans by giving some who are struggling with drug addiction, poverty, or a lack of education the opportunity to become honest, upstanding citizens. Harvard Law School graduate Cotton makes precise points in USA Today and National Review criticizing the bill, but he gives short shrift to safeguards in the legislation. So let's take a look. What are the facts? Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, is sponsoring the First Step Act, along with a bipartisan group of 31 senators. They link over to the full text of the bill, and I will post this in the Twitter and the Mastodon.
Yep.
And they also link over to an 8-page summary, and then a summary of the summary, along with an analysis by the U.S. Sentencing Commission of how many thousands of prisoners will be affected. Sponsors are still considering changes to accommodate critics, according to Politico. In its current form, the bill will reduce mandatory minimum sentences for drug crimes and violent offenses, create more programs for prisoners designed to reduce the likelihood of recidivism, award time credits towards early release to prisoners in those programs, and implement a data-driven system to determine which prisoners are low risk and safe to parole or release to a halfway house.
So this is going to affect some of the people who are in prison today.
Maybe they're including us at the state level.
I don't know, because everything that I've read, and I'm curious, what the Washington Post winds up saying here, but everything that I have read is that this bill would not apply to anyone sentenced before January 1st of 2019.
Okay.
Huh?
Well, it didn't sound like that was the case based on what you just read. It talked about credits being given to people who are currently there, right? Or did I misinterpret what you said?
It doesn't talk about people currently incarcerated. It's saying it will award credits.
So it's not clear as to whom those credits will be awarded.
Right, and like I said, as I understand it, it does not apply to anybody currently incarcerated, and I'm curious, getting down through this article, if that's also, and again, it could have been changed.
It could have been.
And
because that wouldn't be particularly sweeping, right? Like if they just made changes in the future.
It's not that sweeping, but people are
acting like
saying that it is because it's not been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Since the introduction of mandatory minimum sentences at the federal level, they have not reduced them by any, sort of measure, like what they're proposing here.
I thought this was only in regards to enhanced sentences with, there's something called, I think it was 850. Is it 851? Or am I thinking of an entirely
851 is the 3 strikes law at the federal level.
Right. Is that not what they're talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
3 strikes is mandatory life in prison.
Okay, I thought that's
no
what they were
possibility of parole.
Here.
No,
this is something else.
They're just talking about, and according to the Marshall Project, the biggest immediate impact of the bill would be felt by nearly 2,600 federal prisoners convicted of crack offenses before 2010. That's the year that Congress, in the so-called Fair Sentencing Act, reduced a huge disparity in punishment between crack cocaine and powdered cocaine. The First Step Act would make that reform retroactive.
So this would, in its current form, affect people who have already been sentenced. In the case of the crack,
only the people convicted of crack before 2010, because when they wound up doing, basically saying that crack cocaine gets treated the same as powder cocaine, then they didn't make retroactive those sentences. Then this would, at least on that. They say with crack's prevalence in many black neighborhoods in the 1980s, the crack penalty hit African Americans much harder than white powder cocaine users. That disparity has been a major example of the racial imbalance in the criminal justice system. Writing in USA Today, Cotton called for other types of reforms, tougher sentencing for dangerous drug crimes, cutting down the number of criminal laws and creating a transparent database that lists all of them.
So wait, it adds sentencing to certain drug crimes?
No, this is what Senator Tom Cotton wants.
Oh, this is what he wants.
He's the jackhole that says it's going to wind up freeing all the rapists.
I see.
He wants tougher sentences. Now, one thing that I would wind up agreeing here is cut down the number of laws and have a database that lists all of them. That's never going to go anywhere, though.
I don't even know what all the laws are.
I've got an excerpt here from Gingrich's article that appeared in the Washington Post. He says the First Step Act does not grant so-called early release to dangerous, high-risk violent criminals. It does allow the BOP, Bureau of Prisons, to move certain minimum and low-risk inmates to lower security detention regimes, which could include halfway houses, home confinement, or supervised release if the circumstances warrant. There's a little bit more here. We'll get back into your story as well on this possible sentencing reform coming soon.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global. Drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
Hearing a lot about CBD these days? Yes, but which CBD products can you trust? Which website can provide proper education about CBD along with high-quality products? The answer? CBDonly.com. CBD, or cannabidiol, is one of hundreds of compounds found in the cannabis plant and one that contains a variety of medicinal benefits. Many doctors are starting to recommend CBD to their patients as an alternative or supplement to some pharmaceutical medications. CBD is becoming widely known to relieve pain, inflammation, and anxiety. Unlike THC that is found in the plant, CBD does not have psychoactive effects. In other words, it does not give the effect of being high. All CBDonly.com products are lab tested to ensure the highest quality standards. Shop CBDonly.com for CBD oils, edibles, vapes, skincare, even CBD for your pets. That's CBDonly.com. And to receive 15% off your order on CBDonly.com, use discount code CBDNOW. Remember, shop for CBD products you can trust. Shop CBDonly.com, your CBD superstore.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Federal sentencing reform controversy. People all tissy about this First Step Act, acting as though rapists are going to be released into the streets, and that seems like it's pretty hyperbolic and not really true. But we're analyzing, according to the Washington Post?
Washington Post. They ran some statements from Senator Tom Cotton through the fact checker.
And Cotton is against this First Step Act, while a lot of people on both sides of the political structure are actually in favor of this.
Yes. The bill having already passed through the U.S. House
with a supermajority.
360 to 59.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And now it's just waiting for a vote in the Senate.
And they need to get it done this year, or else they have to start on it all over again.
Correct.
So we'll tell you more about that. Your calls, of course, and thoughts are welcome here as well. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. And thank you to Tom, who is a Free Talk Live Gold Amplifier. AMP meaning advertise, market, and promote. It's our little program where you can back the show up for $5 a month and help us get on more radio stations around the country and bring new internet listeners on board. In fact, we'll be welcoming a new station a little bit later on tonight to our lineup of 190-plus radio stations coast to coast. If you'd like to see us on 300 or 400 stations, then help us with the AMP program. Go to amp.freetalklive.com, get signed up there with credit card, PayPal, or Bitcoin BTC, ampamp.freetalklive.com, and you'll get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group, also special subscribers sections on our Discord chat. Just go to ampamp.freetalklive.com. As we go to the phones, to the fun, he's Fred in Greenville, South Carolina, listening online through TuneIn. Go ahead, Fred.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, it's Fred from Greensville, SC. Yeah, so the reason why I'm calling is because I had an idea for a business. And I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to get right to the point here. Recently, a friend told me that my business isn't going to be in cohorts with government regulation as far as selling biological products. And here's the thing. I think that that's bullcrap because there is already a website that does something like what I want to do. But this young lady on fawnfancybits.com is able to sell the actual discharge.
All right, I don't know if I want to find out what it is you're going to say there. And in fact, I kind of heard what you were saying. So we're just not going to talk about that, Fred. I don't know why you keep calling with that. I've already told you that unfortunately there's just certain things that, we can't get into on talk radio.
Right.
So I'd like to invite Fred there to call in on our after show, which we have launched over the last couple of weeks. It's called Freer Talk Live. In fact, it's going to be going on tonight at 10 o'clock at night Eastern Time. Chris, you're welcome to stay if you want. I didn't mention it to you in advance, but it will be happening. If not, that's fine. It's up to you. So kind of surprised and sprung this on you, but we've got this Twitch-only after show that we've done now for a couple of weeks on Tuesday, and we're doing it tonight as well. So that will be no FCC censorship on that particular program. And so if you want to talk about whatever the fancy bits that he was about to tell us about, which sounded like it was probably pretty explicit, then that would be the more appropriate place to have more explicit conversations, because the FCC tends to not very much explicit sex talk.
Yes.
I think that, and over the history of Free Talk Live, we've had conversations about sex. We've had conversations about some very mature topics, and I intend to continue doing that. But to talk about discharge from a certain area of the body is basically exactly what the FCC does not want discussed in any kind of prurient or
nobody
demeanor.
needs to know about snot rockets.
Well, I don't think it was snot, Darryl. Maybe you didn't hear what he was saying.
Oh, no, I heard what he was saying. I'm just trying to, go a completely different way with it.
You could probably get away with talking about discharge from somebody's nose, but even then, the FCC gets all upset about any discussions regarding bodily fluids or sexual...
Of which snot is one.
Yeah, exactly. Or sexual contact between people. So it's one thing to discuss issues about sex. It's one thing to discuss relationships, maybe problems that people have in relationships. And if we can do things in a clinical manner when it comes to, certain issues, we will try. But this person who's been calling in almost nightly, I don't know if he called in on your Thursday night show, Darryl, but...
he did not.
Yeah, this guy's been calling in almost nightly and has been basically trying to either skirt the line or cross the line as far as being what the FCC might describe as indecent or obscene, and we just can't do it. And I apologize about that. It's, the FCC is a frustration to me as somebody who supports freedom of speech, but the reality is, even if it weren't for the FCC, even if the FCC were gone tomorrow, there still may be a number of our radio stations who would also be made uncomfortable by certain conversations like that. News talk radio isn't generally a place where people talk in explicit terms about sex and things that come out of bodily orifices. So I hope that explains it a little bit better. If he continues to call in, I'll be continuing to be even shorter and shorter with that particular caller. We're not going to allow that to go on. So, again, if you want to have the discussion tonight, just join us at twitch.lrn.fm. That is our Twitch channel, and it will be open phones, as it always is here on Free Talk Live, but without the FCC censorship, and so we could totally have whatever that conversation was that he wanted to have. But I suspect he's not going to call tonight because he wants to get on the radio with that sort of discussion.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll be wrong, and he will actually call in. So we'll see. Again, twitch.lrn.fm. Be sure you follow us there. As we continue here, you can bring up what you want. We've been talking about the sentencing reform of the First Step Act. Now, it hasn't been passed in the Senate yet, but it was passed, a version of it in the House.
Yes.
The U.S. House earlier this year. According to Newt Gingrich, who is apparently in favor of it, he says that the bill does not reduce sentences for current felons who have had 2 or 3 strikes for committing drug felonies or other serious federal crimes. It does reduce the mandatory minimum sentences for second and third offenses by future offenders from 20 years to 15 years and from life to 25 years, respectively. So this is barely a first step.
The U.S. Sentencing, Commission? Yeah, U.S. Sentencing Commission. They have an 8-page document showing here's what each section of this proposed legislation would do. Here's how many people would be impacted. Here's how many people would be impacted if it were applied retroactively. Which, of course, reading the summaries, almost every provision does not apply retroactively.
Yeah.
So there's only a handful of things that are retroactive, and even then, the Washington Post here, and Ian, I think you had mentioned it as well, that it would be up to the Bureau of Prisons to determine if the inmate presents a minimal or low risk of recidivism before either getting sent to a halfway house or going to home supervision.
Which isn't going to happen immediately. You'll have to apply for that, and it's going to take some time.
What would the exact? What did it go down to? 25 years? It reduced to life to 25 years.
Well, these are for certain offenses. So mandatory minimum sentence for second and third offenses by future offenders would go from 20 years to 15, and from life to 25. So second offense, 20 to 15 years. Third offense, life down to 25.
So the 851 that you mentioned earlier, instead of life, you die here, you're still probably going to die here, but you could get out after 25.
And this is kind of like what I was thinking. It's like bringing up. It's like, okay, so basically for most people, it's probably going to be they're going to die in prison anyway. I mean, how many people, by their third offense, you're probably going to hit 30, 35, something like that. So, 35, 45, 55, 60, maybe.
The Section 851 enhancement generally, and we talked about this last night, it seems to only be applied to people that don't take plea deals on whatever the third offense is. And it doesn't matter how long ago or how minimal the first and second offenses were. The first offense could be you had 1/10 of a gram of cannabis. The second offense could be the same thing. Third offense, the feds got you on the third one, and they just want to make an example, and you don't want to take their plea deal. 851, life in prison.
You know what amazes me is a lot of these people have they're all non-violent offenses.
Yeah.
So they're not really.
Well, many of the people in federal prison are there for nonviolent offenses. Not all of them, though.
Right. Well, no.
I think he's talking about the people that get hit with the 851.
Right.
Okay,
so
I don't know what 851
is an enhancement to the sentence. So
it's the 3 strikes.
Where you get caught with some drugs and then a gun or something.
Yeah,
like
so I smoke a little marijuana. I smoke a little marijuana.
You're not
get caught
admitting
a second
to that.
time.
You're saying in theory.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The third time I get caught, if it's a federal offense, I'm gone for life.
That's not just for felonies, these sentences? I mean, if you're just smoking marijuana...
The 851 applies to any federal offense.
Really?
As a third strike.
All right, there's more coming up here in moments, but this so-called first step, this tiny little first step, took them 5 years just to get to this point.
Yeah.
More coming up here.
Baby step.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars.
To join the American Cannabis Summit, visit acs2018.com or text JOIN to 76280. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280 now.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, November 30th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,222 per ounce. Zen is trading at $6, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,028. Antiwar.com reports many senators are expressing growing anger at the administration's not being forthcoming on the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, and in particular the intelligence tying the murder to the Saudi crown prince. This became a major problem on Wednesday when a closed-door briefing was held on the matter. The details of the briefing were classified, but the only two attendees from the administration were Secretary of Defense James Mattis and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Neither appears to have had much insight on the matter, and both claim to lack any smoking gun intelligence, which is where it would be nice for an intelligence official to chime in, but CIA Director Gina Haspel did not attend the meeting, meaning the CIA assessment of the murder was not a topic of discussion. Some senators say they are particularly angry at her absence and view it as a cover-up attempt. That anger might be justified, as according to several senators during the briefing, Mattis and Pompeo confirmed that the White House directly blocked Haspel from attending. The CIA assessment reportedly concluded with high confidence that the Crown Prince was behind the murder, and Haspel is one of the few administration officials said to have heard the audio of Khashoggi's murder, something many seem to be going out of their way to avoid. Zencash has changed their name to Horizon to better represent their transition from a cryptocurrency to a pioneering platform that protects consumer data. They're working towards the day when anyone will be able to build privacy-based applications on the Horizon platform and generate income from them. This will allow Horizon to bring thousands of real-life services to the community. Services that provide freedom, utility, and privacy. HORIZEN.global. UPI reports after debate on the matter that lasted for decades, Los Angeles lawmakers have voted to decriminalize street vending ahead of a similar state law that kicks in next year. Though street vending has been illegal for years, the city has done little to stop it. About 20,000 vendors operate freely in the city, and many are immigrants, according to KNBC TV. Los Angeles was believed to be the last major city to outlaw the practice until the city council voted unanimously in favor of the changes on Wednesday. The city moved to decriminalize vending, fearing the Trump administration's immigration policies might put some vendors at risk of deportation. However, they could still be ticketed and/or fined. Business groups have pushed for new regulations, arguing areas like the Hollywood Walk of Fame are too congested to accommodate vendors safely. Under the new rules, vendors would still be barred around busy areas like the Walk of Fame, Universal Studios, Dodger Stadium, and the Hollywood Bowl during major events. Debate has endured for years on the issue, with concerns about where and how vending should be allowed, blocked sidewalks, garbage, and business-related matters. City lawmakers were still trying to solve the problem when legislators passed a new state law that bars cities from restricting vendors unless there are objective health, safety, or welfare concerns. That law takes effect in January. For the most part, vendors applauded Wednesday's decision. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the U.S. Army is investing millions of dollars in experimental exoskeleton technology to make soldiers stronger and more resilient in what experts say is part of a broader push into advanced gear to equip a new generation of super soldiers. The technology is being developed by Lockheed Martin with a license from Canada-based BTEMIA, which first developed the exoskeletons to help people with mobility difficulties stemming from medical ailments like multiple sclerosis and severe osteoarthritis. Worn over a pair of pants, the battery-operated exoskeleton uses a suite of sensors, artificial intelligence, and other technology to aid natural movement. For the U.S. military, the appeal of such technology is clear. Soldiers now deploy into war zones bogged down by heavy but critical gear like body armor, night vision goggles, and advanced radios. Altogether, that can weigh anywhere from 90 to 140 pounds when the recommended limit is 50 pounds. Lockheed Martin said on Thursday it won a $6.9 million award from the U.S. Army Natick Soldier Research, Development, and Engineering Center to research and develop the exoskeleton called Onyx under a 2-year sole source agreement. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Could dropping bombs on Afghans without warning from terrifying robot airplanes that fly themselves actually hurt America's efforts to stabilize Afghanistan?
It's complicated. No, not at all. Actually, I think we need to stay the course. You don't change horses midstream, and you don't stop firing missiles from unseen death droids soaring high above the clouds just because a couple of schools get blown up.
We have got to find another way to obliterate this population.
What about flaming bulldozers or 50-foot tall tanks?
Let's do what we can for these civilians. I mean, why not name the drones Billy or Steve to make them seem less dispassionate.
Oh, that is a terrible idea. Billy is a horrible name for a drone.
They're now developing a 40-foot robot that actually looks more like an American soldier and also sprays lasers out of his eyes.
Well, at least that's a step forward.
Hey, look, as long as it fires missiles and bombs with very little accuracy and 0 Americans are at threat, I'm all for it.
Good point.
They should give it funny, floppy arms.
Yes.
Oh, it should spray candy out of its chest a few minutes before it starts shooting everything.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here and take control of the airwaves. Our number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And Darryl.
Coming up, Chris, you're going to be telling us about some international news. We're going to get back into international news. We actually started out with some news about Russia tonight and the escalating tensions and violence between Russia and Ukraine. And then you've got some tension between Google and Russia, apparently.
I have that as well, yes.
Plus, we'll talk about Iranians being indicted on ransomware charges, even though they aren't even in the United States. You've got those stories on the way, and we've been talking about the not quite meaningless, but very, very small level of sentencing reform that is being proposed at the national level in the United States. We left off there. Of course, you can bring up anything that you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, as long as it's within, the FCC's boundaries, of course. If you want to avoid FCC censorship on our show, then you can go and tune into our after show tonight over on our Twitch channel at twitch.lrn.fm. It'll start at 10 o'clock at night Eastern Time. By the way, I do want to make sure that you know about freedomsphoenix.com. It's a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty, then freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. It's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com. As we continue here, Darryl, was there anything else that you felt like we should share about this First Step Act?
Oh, there's definitely more here.
So this is the Washington Post. They're analyzing some of the counterclaims against this First Step Act.
Right, specifically from Senator Tom Cotton,
who's the kind of the head of the opposition.
Yes.
Claiming this is going to result in a bunch of rapists being released out into the streets and crime running rampant.
Right.
Even though the reforms here are very, very minimal and tend to only apply to future convictions.
Right. And he's sort of pointing at a provision that allows the Bureau of Prisons to wind up granting early release only to prisoners who present a minimal or low risk of recidivism. Taylor Foy, a spokesman...
Right, so if you're going in and you're causing trouble in prison and, you're beating people up and you're your problem, you're not going to get let out early. You've got to show some promise.
Taylor Foy, a spokesman for Senator Chuck Grassley, says that determination is based on actuarial data and information that the Bureau of Prisons currently uses that has to be an accurate predictor of behavior. There's a rubric that all inmates have to go through that they'll be evaluated against, and that's what makes the determination of their risk level. Senator Mike Lee of Utah, a co-sponsor of the bill, says at all times the Bureau of Prisons retains all authority over who does or does not qualify for early release. However, Cotton doesn't mention any of this in the op-eds that he published, and he winds up making some type of warning against future Democratic administrations not being able to be trusted. The Washington Post says the argument from Cotton is misleading since the BOP officials and wardens use objective criteria and a point system to assess risk and would keep doing so under the new law before granting any early release. They're not peering into anyone's soul so much as crunching numbers, and the president's political stripes are not a factor in the equation.
Because these Bureau of Prisons bureaucrats are the same across the presidents. It doesn't matter if you get Donald Trump in there versus Barack Obama. It's probably the same exact bureaucrats running the Bureau of Prisons, minus one or two maybe changes.
They use 15 predictors of serious misconduct, such as prior record, seriousness of the current offense, history of violence, prison rule infractions, age, and the inmate's participation in programs.
Okay.
So they say that, all of this combined should alleviate Cotton's concerns that sex criminals are going to wind up just having years shaved off of their sentences. However, after the Washington Post...
How many rapists are in federal prison anyway?
Oh, hold on. I was about to tell you that.
Okay, all right.
After the Washington Post published this article originally, they say Cotton's staff provided information from the Department of Justice showing that out of the 15,526 federal inmates currently serving a sentence for sex offenses, 73% are currently classified as low security. Under this section, the prisoner would have to accumulate enough time credits for early release, then file a petition, then get the warden to approve it, and then show through the periodic risk assessments a demonstrated recidivism risk reduction. The warden would have to find that the prisoner made a good faith effort to lower their risk by participating in prison programs, and that the inmate would not be a danger to society if transferred to pre-release custody, i.e. halfway house, or supervised release, i.e. parole. So there's a whole process that has to be gone through, even for people that are listed as minimal or low risk, before they're let out on supervised release or sent to a halfway house.
Apparently they do have sexual assault at the federal level.
Yes.
I had no idea. I figured those were all just state charges. I wonder why the federal government would get involved in a rape case. Is it if somebody crosses a border to go rape somebody?
If someone crosses state lines, then it becomes a federal offense.
Huh.
If someone travels out of the country to commit a sexual crime, it is a federal offense.
Yeah, it's probably true.
The Washington Post, just real quick, they say, without minimizing Cotton's concerns about public safety, these omissions and twists make a difference in the public's perception of the bill, and we give it 2 Pinocchios. So basically, they're saying Tom Cotton he's a dirty, dirty liar, and
What's
he's
the maximum
misleading
number
people.
of Pinocchios?
I don't know.
All right, well, hey, there's your summary of the current status.
They actually do have about our rating scale. And let's see. They have up to 4 Pinocchios.
Okay.
So 2 Pinocchios is significant omissions and or exaggerations.
Gotcha.
Some factual errors may be involved, but not necessarily. A politician can create a false, misleading impression by playing with words and using legalistic language that means very little to ordinary people, similar to a half-truth.
All right, so
1 Pinocchio would be just sort of shading the facts and selectively telling the truth.
Gotcha.
And 4 Pinocchio is basically the equivalent of there's another one that they do, liar, liar, pants on fire.
That's another thing they do?
It's not the Washington Post. There's another, I think it's PolitiFact.
Gotcha.
That they're, this is, not even related to reality.
Wow.
It's just listed as liar, liar, pants on fire.
So there you have it, the First Step Act, which is just a bare minimum step. I mean, it is just
It should be called the Baby Step Act.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and as I touched on earlier, you mentioned that this took them 5 years just to craft this legislation, just to get it to this point where it is today, which it's not passed yet.
Right.
So, maybe it'll pass. The
clock's ticking. They've got, 5.5 weeks?
Do they go all the way up to the end of the year, or do they take a break and then, say, screw it?
Technically, they'd take a break towards the end of the year, but they could always wind up calling off vacation.
They could. Are they going to do that for the federal prisoners' benefit?
Probably not.
Yeah, doubt it.
So whether this moves ahead this year, if it does move ahead this year, it is barely going to do anything at all to enact any kind of meaningful sentencing reform. It's going to maybe allow a few people to apply to get out on an early release or halfway house program that are currently in jail or in prison. It will have an effect potentially on the sentences of people being sentenced for second and third offenses into the future, but barely reducing those Nothing. This is not significant. I mean, even Newt Gingrich in his op-ed piece points out that the police are apparently, like different police unions and such, are supporting this. Right. I don't know why that is, but they are. And
they need more people to arrest.
How would this give them more people to arrest?
If you release the prisoners, then
they're out on the streets.
They're only releasing people that have a low chance of recidivism.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it is, but either way, look.
But not the lowest. Not the lowest of the low.
This is something that probably should happen, and it needs to happen in a much more significant way. But again, it is just their first step. How many more years will it take for the second step? Who knows?
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories. While I say these hobgoblins are imaginary, I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
When do you want to spot that burglar? When he's casing your home or after he's in? Ask John, whose Blink camera alerted him of burglars trying to break in while his family was home. Or Shannon, whose Blink camera caught a thief stealing packages. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 AA batteries that last up to 2 years. Blink camera systems make great holiday gifts. So visit blinkprotect.com/holiday. blinkprotect.com/holiday. Blink is an Amazon company.
Inclement weather prevents a liar from getting to work, and a lunchbox is mostly medication. Sources across the nation impatiently reported today that the 24-hour news cycle seemed to be taking forever, telling reporters that the continuous coverage from MSNBC, CNN, and other news sources was simply not continuous enough. Frustrated Americans demanded more panel coverage, around-the-clock bulletins, and breaking reactions from Twitter.
It's like, sure, I have 5 channels of unending news updates constantly flooding my screen, but each one of those only has one slow-moving news ticker. Why not 3 or 4 running at triple speed? Honestly, these networks need to understand that I can't just wait around all day for minute-by-minute coverage.
And in this week's science news, a new report finds that lake ice grows safer to venture out on with each beer consumed. In other news, the beauty industry announces a new initiative to make women self-conscious about their palms. A beautiful cinnamon bun is too good for this world, too pure. And a picky eater is 38.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free and join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, we do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. Go to discord.lrn.fm. You can get into one of those. There's 4 of them there at the top of our call list, or top of our chat list. And join any one of them, and we'll join you in there once we notice you there, and you'll get on the air with us in the studio. It's Ian.
And Chris.
And Darryl.
Welcome, by the way, to Alamo AM, KRSY, AM 1230 in Alamogordo, New Mexico. They are coming on board for Free Talk Live. They're actually going to air this show, so the Friday night show. They're going to air it Saturday, basically middays. So we're replacing the Freedom Fiends, which were on that station. Great libertarian show that was on for a number of years. If you're missing the Freedom Fiends, well, Michael Dean, if you're listening right now in Alamogordo, Michael Dean, the host of that show, decided that he had a good run and he was calling it quits. He may still do the occasional podcast on his website, which is freedomfiends.com. But the regular production of the radio show any production of the radio show there has ended. And so we're taking over the position. So welcome aboard to everybody there in Alamogordo listening to KRSY. Now, if you are listening to the show in what they call delay broadcast in radio, which is where you're not listening live, we're doing the show live at 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time, 7 nights a week. So if you do want to call in, those are the hours during which you should call. And like I said, we're there 7 nights a week. So any night of the week, 7 to 10 Eastern, you can call and talk to us about whatever is on your mind. As we continue, we go to Sarah, somebody who frequently takes advantage of that fact. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
Yes. So I'm quite bewildered that, Chrysler is going to lay off thousands of workers in Canada and United States. And they got corporate welfare by like hundreds of millions of dollars by Obama a while ago, right?
Yeah, wasn't it Bush as well?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, yeah, well, they got a corporate welfare again with him.
Yeah.
So, but the deal was that they saved Chrysler. What was the reason? Is to create jobs. They were afraid that all these people in Detroit, is that Detroit, Chrysler?
Probably. I don't know. A lot of them were were in Detroit. I don't know how many of them still are.
So my conclusion is that what a waste of our tax dollars.
Well, so your point being
that's what libertarians said at the time.
Yeah. So your point being here, Sarah, is that giving a bunch of tax dollars to this failing company in order to shore up jobs, ultimately later on down the line, turns out they still failed, and now they've got to fire a bunch of people. So essentially, it just delayed the inevitable.
Well, and also, we'll just talk about wasteful spending of our tax dollars. And I really think that.
So you're against corporate welfare. Let's just be clear. You're against corporate welfare.
Well, most all of it, especially what I get when I'm a little-time welfare recipient.
Right.
And I get kicked around constantly, like I'm destroying the whole country. And these corporations, the bankers, and even the farming subsidy, the soybeans, the pig farmers, they get subsidy.
So
and
why is corporate welfare such a bad idea?
Well, it's a bad idea because they need to pay us back. Because they
Who needs to pay you back?
Deal. Well, the Chrysler, they need to pay back.
But that's not welfare. Welfare, that would just be a loan. If it was welfare, then it wouldn't have to pay it back.
Right, and most of the monies that were given to the auto companies...
Wasn't that a loan? Or no?
Most of the money was not loans. It was just, here's money.
Yeah.
Sarah is saying that they should pay it back, which would then turn it into a loan, but that was never the agreement.
Well, even still, that's still a taxpayer-backed loan, and I'm against that as well.
They probably default on it anyway.
Which they could do, yeah.
Well, the thing about it is that this is my whole point. They get these handouts. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, like $500 million. But you know what? They get away with it. Do you know who gets blamed? It's the homeless people, the mentally ill, the handicapped.
I don't think they're blaming homeless people for corporate welfare.
Who's blaming homeless people for Chrysler closing some plants? I'm confused here.
Well, they're saying that if a homeless person...
Who is saying this?
They're taking Well, you guys are constantly saying it.
We've never blamed homeless people for
There's a
Chrysler being a
miscommunication.
failing business.
What are you saying about homeless people, Sarah?
Well, what they're saying is they're taking our tax dollars because they get food stamps, and they're wasting our tax dollars. And here, these corporations and the war weaponry companies, they're taking all of our tax dollars.
Sarah, it's all a waste of tax dollars. It's all a waste of tax dollars. We're not picking and choosing here.
Well, she is, but we aren't.
Right, no, she said that we have sided with giving corporate welfare,
No,
which we
we're
never
against
have.
that. I don't know if that's what she said.
We're also against giving welfare to anybody.
Well, the problem is Sarah doesn't actually listen to what we're saying.
No, that's true.
Even when she's on the phone and
Yeah,
we're
she doesn't
trying to have a conversation with her, she doesn't listen to what we're saying. She just hears that we're talking, and then she hears that we stop.
It's true.
Well, and also the thing is the investors, the people that bought stocks, it actually went up, even though all the workers lost all of their jobs. How could that be possible? So if you own Chrysler stock, they actually went up.
Because
and
stocks are not an actual indicator about the profitability of a business. It's speculation about what people think a business is worth.
Yeah. So the reason why welfare, Sarah, is a bad idea, whether it be corporate welfare or personal welfare, is it screws up incentives. And when it comes to corporations, basically it protects corporations who should otherwise go out of business.
Right.
If you're a failure as a business, it doesn't matter how many people have jobs working for you. You ought to go out of business. You ought to, if you're, not making enough money to pay your bills, and your staff are part of your bills.
Yep.
If you're not making enough money to pay the costs you got to make, then it's time for you to sell off your business to the highest bidder, and maybe that person can make it work better. Otherwise, you just liquidate your inventory.
Like what Toys R Us did.
Yeah. And then you close down the shops, you sell the land, and you try to pay off your creditors as much as you possibly can, and it's over. You lose and your investors lose. And yes, those people will lose their jobs, and that sucks for somebody who, had what they thought was a career at a particular corporation, and the corporation goes under. But that's okay, because almost every time somebody loses a job, and I know, Sarah, you don't have a whole lot of experience with this, but because Sarah's told us in the past she's basically never had a job since she was a teenager, but when you lose a job, in a lot of cases, you end up getting a better one. Some people tend to get despondent if they lose their job, worrying that they're not going to end up all right after the fact. But in most cases I've ever seen, when somebody loses a job unexpectedly, whether it's because a company went out of business or because they just got fired for some reason, they almost always turn up somewhere better, at a better gig.
Wouldn't you want to go and work for a company that was successful, that was actually making money, because then they could pay you more?
Indeed. If a company is successful, then give you a raise.
You're saying that all welfare is bad? How come people starving and freezing to death is a waste of money?
Hold on. Nobody is starving to death, Sarah. There's nobody
not in the U.S.
Not in the United States. Venezuela, that might be another story. And they've got plenty of welfare in Venezuela. How's that working out for you? Thanks for the call, Sarah. More coming up. We can talk more about welfare or whatever you want to discuss. This is Free Talk Live.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Welfare. Sarah was just on the line with us a few moments ago, criticizing, rightfully so, corporate welfare, but at the same time defending personal welfare. And we can talk a little bit more about that. Of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome. And then on the way here tonight, Chris Wade is with us from thinkpenguin.com and Freedom Decrypted, his new show, which you can watch over at freedomdecrypted.com. And that is Saturdays. You're live starting at 5 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yep, 5 to 7.
In the afternoon. And sometimes you go a little later than 7. So that's why I'm just saying starting at 5.
Yeah, it's not supposed to, but
oh, really?
We have gone over that a little bit.
Hey, if you're having fun, then why not? So check them out over there. It's a freedom-oriented tech show, basically, with you and sometime rotating cast of co-hosts. You've had Bob Call in with you.
It has been rotating. It didn't start out that way, but
that's okay.
Yeah.
So check it out over at freedomdecrypted.com. As we continue here, Sarah in New Mexico claiming that, well, corporate welfare is obviously bad because you're helping, failing companies not fail for maybe just a little bit of time, and then they fail anyway down the road. She was bringing up Chrysler as an example of that. But either way, even if the corporate welfare does get them over some sort of a hump and they manage to make a comeback, it's still wrong,
right?
Because you're still helping this one company at the cost of everybody else. Everybody else was forced by the government to pay into the system, and then the people in the system granted money from that system to their politically connected buddies, in this case over at Chrysler or GM, or you fill in the blank of the farmers that she mentioned, the farm subsidies. This is all not fair, because if everybody's forced to pay for a company, but they don't get any stock or any sort of dividends or anything like that. It's straight up welfare. And it's wrong. A company that's failing is usually failing for a reason, and they deserve to go out of business. Don't they call it in economics creative destruction? The idea that when a thing goes away, it's not like, that segment of the market usually goes away. Like cars aren't going to disappear tomorrow. If Chrysler goes out of business, we're not going to all of a sudden have no cars left. Anybody else can get into that marketplace and try to compete by making their own cars. Now, obviously, making a car is not an easy thing to do, and you probably have to have quite a bit of capital up front in order to invest in the necessary facilities. But regardless,
right,
Chrysler couldn't make it work while there's plenty of other car companies who can. Yep. So we don't need them. Get rid of them. Let the people who were in those jobs find other jobs either in the same industry or in completely different industries. Learn a new skill or take your existing skills to some other person who can appreciate them and pay you for them. But then she brings up, because, pointed out why corporate welfare fails and, why it shouldn't happen, because you're helping companies that have failed. Let them fail. Let the market create something new to replace them.
Well, at a more base level, it's wrong, and I would dare say immoral, to take things from one person and give it to someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Without the expressed consent of the person that you were getting the money from.
Correct. Which that mean that all taxes are immoral.
Yeah, I think there's a name for that. It's called stealing.
It is called stealing.
Right, but most people don't think of their taxes as being stolen from them because
they should.
I know they should. Yeah. I'm just saying that most people don't, and that's why I'm using the phrasing that I'm using.
What do most people think about their taxes?
Well, it's a necessary evil. I don't like them, but they do pay for the roads and the schools, and I like roads and schools. Why do you hate roads and schools, Ian?
I don't hate them. I think that roads and schools would also exist in a future without government taxation because people want them. And whatever it is that people want, people in the marketplace manage to provide.
They lock up rapists. My tax dollars lock up rapists, and if you don't pay taxes, then everybody's just going to be raping everybody because there's not going to be cops.
Right, because nobody would ever want to contribute voluntarily to stop rapists, right? Because everybody thinks rape's cool.
And, if you actually look at the arrest numbers from your town or your city, you're going to see that I would dare say a vast majority, if not just a simple majority, of the arrests are for victimless crimes. Things where there is no identifiable victim. So drug possession, open container, maybe somebody driving with an unregistered vehicle, driving without a license, things of that sort. Here in tiny Keene, New Hampshire, there's a lot of arrests that happen when the college is here, where people are walking between parties, and a cop happens to be down by the college and waves over some 20-year-old girl, and she's not really paying attention because she's had a little bit to drink, and she's still got a beer in her hand, and she steps onto the sidewalk, and then public intoxication, a minor with alcohol, and open container. There's three charges
citations
right there. Who was being hurt by the 20-year-old girl walking from one party to another?
Nobody at all.
Not a soul.
That's what your taxes are paying for.
Oh, there's plenty of things taxes pay for, like war and destroying innocent lives around the world as well. So, but my point being that Sarah had brought up the claim that, well, if it wasn't for welfare, people would be starving in the streets, and nothing could be further from the truth. In the United States, at least, there's plenty of food in the United States. All you have to do to prove that to yourself is look at the number of so-called poor people who are heavily overweight. There are a lot of fat, poor people in the United States. And that is evidence that they are not that poor when you compare them to the rest of the world. If you take people in the United States who are considered poor and you compare them to poor people in, say, India, or poor people in, say, parts of China, or in other parts of the world where it's not as quite as nice, then that's going to be a huge discrepancy in their quality of life between those two groups.
FEE even has an article that
Foundation for Economic Education.
Foundation for Economic Education. Headline: Why poor people in the freest nations have incomes 8 times higher than poor people in the least free. Now, this isn't talking about people being starved or malnourished, and you can certainly
you can't find them in the United States.
Well, you will find malnourished people in the United States.
Yeah, maybe the kid that gets locked in a cage in his parents' house because, they're getting a welfare check for the child and they don't want to actually take care of him. They just want to, give him the barest bare minimums. It's going to be hard to find real malnutrition
doesn't just mean not eating enough. You can be obese and be malnourished.
Yeah.
Malnourished means not properly nourished.
You might be able to find malnourished people in our prison systems, especially in certain parts of the country.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, whether or not they have enough food to eat, maybe they have enough food to eat, but they're not well nourished.
That could very well be the case, but I mean, not accepting the government itself. For the average person, there's plenty of access to food.
If you go back,
dumpster diving, dude. Our roommate goes dumpster diving and gets all kinds of good stuff. It's crazy.
If you look at the poverty rate in the United States, it was falling before there was the war on poverty that was declared.
How coincidental.
And the rate has stayed about the same for nearly 50 years.
I mean, this neglects the idea of charity, that people can't, be charitable. And certainly there was certainly a long time in this country, in the United States anyway, where people were very charitable.
Yes.
Well, and not is it neglected, it suggests Sarah's position, saying that there would be people starving, suggests that people wouldn't be charitable. Suggests that in the absence of welfare, forced wealth redistribution, that people would not give voluntarily to others, which all the evidence flies in the face of that. There's a food bank here in Keene, New Hampshire called the Community Kitchen. And yeah, it does get a small amount of money from the government, the local city government, but that's just because it's there and, well, why not? You can't blame a charity for doing that. But they get most of their contributions from individuals and companies who give to this food bank. And food banks like that exist in towns and cities all across the United States.
Health inspectors in Missouri poured bleach on food was meant for the homeless.
Hold that. Let's get into it here because it's insane. We'll continue. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Yeah, you got a lot of food when somebody feels like they can pour bleach on food. We'll explain that coming up here in moments. It's outrageous. It's Free Talk Live.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
We know you've had Dragon's Breath in the morning, but you've got to experience Dragon's Breath at night. Wolf Hill Ammo's Dragon's Breath, an incendiary shotgun round in 12 gauge, 20 gauge, and a 410 with an amazing muzzle flash and a fireball that launches up to 125 yards. Pure fun to shoot. At Wolf Hill Ammo, we love shotguns and offer the best specialty shotgun ammo on the market. Visit wolfhillammo.com to see our large selection of specialty shotgun ammo at great prices with flat rate shipping. wolfhillammo.com.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial in toll free and join us here if you want. The number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about poor people. And Sarah's claim earlier that it's welfare that is helping people not starve to death in the streets. And I am calling BS on that claim, at least here in the United States. It is, I'm not going to say it's a good life to be poor. It's probably frustrating in a lot of ways. But one thing's for sure, there's no shortage of food in the United States. There's so much food in the United States that a bunch of it gets thrown out every single day. And then some of it is absolutely wasted. You're going to give us an example, Darryl, of a government agency actually making it harder for homeless people to get fed, not by arresting the people who are serving the homeless, because that certainly has happened in other instances. This is another outrageous story that you're going to be sharing with us here. But our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, and then we can also check in and see exactly how much more difficult a lifestyle of a poor person is in, say, Venezuela, where it actually is hard to get your hands on even the most basic
Are there only like
food
5
items.
people in Venezuela that aren't classified as poor?
Yeah, Nicolas Maduro, the president, and probably his 4 right-hand and left-hand men would be my guess. No, there's some people in the country that are still, pretty well connected to the government and probably get fed because of that. But outside of that, it's if you're rich enough, you've already left.
Right.
So we're going to continue with that. Of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Anarchapulco is coming up soon. It's going to be February 14th through the 17th, so we're less than 3 months away, 2.5 months basically until Anarchapulco. Ron Paul is going to be back this year, so if you missed him in 2018, he will be there in the 2019 Anarchapulco speaking again, which probably means this one's going to sell out as well. Which means if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you really ought to go to anarchapulco.com and use code FTL, like Free Talk Live, to get your tickets. Once again, code FTL at anarchapulco.com. It's going to be a great event. It's been awesome the last 2 years that I've been. And as I said, this year in 2018, it was a sellout. So they're 2/3 of the way to selling out for 2019. Get your tickets, anarchapulco.com. We will be there broadcasting Free Talk Live, and there'll be a great lineup of speakers discussing things like entrepreneurship, investments, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, and personal relationships for 4 days among the sun and beaches of a world-class resort. It will be one of the, if not the largest gathering of freethinkers, voluntarists, libertarians, and anarcho-capitalists in Acapulco, Mexico, February 14th through the 17th. Go to anarchapulco.com, use code FTL. Let's go to the phones and to the fun. It's James calling from Phoenix. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, James.
This question's for the new.
Oh, you've been banned. Sorry, you're not allowed to call the show. I'm just going to dump your call there. Still on a ban. I'm not sure when it was. I'll have to check my calendar because I put that in as far as when his ban was lifted. I think it was going to be in January, and now that he's called in during his ban, I'll be extending the ban even further. So we don't ban a lot of people here on Free Talk Live, but that caller, who you didn't even hear if you were on the radio because he got dumped out, is not welcome here because he threatened some people, and it's just not okay to
not
call
just
in.
people.
Yeah.
Host of the show.
Yeah.
And the families of host.
It was like multiple people, right?
Yeah, and it went on for years, and finally
Yeah.
I went ahead and said, all right, we're just not going to allow threats anymore. So
Yeah.
we're a pretty flexible show. We'll let you call in about pretty much anything, and there's certainly no FCC rule against threats. It's just not really a particularly nice conversation to be having. So 855-450 free like freedom as we continue here. Darryl, what's the story with these bureaucrats apparently ruining some food with bleach?
Yeah, so Washington Post has the story, and it's actually a couple of weeks old here. They say health inspectors in Missouri shut down large food giveaways meant to feed the homeless in Kansas City parks across the city at the beginning of the month, trashing and bleaching some of the food to render it inedible. The action prompted an outcry from groups across the political spectrum. But the city appears to have changed course. Health officials did not interrupt the food giveaways that had been organized by a local volunteer group on Sunday, according to the Kansas City Star. And the Sunday in question would have been the 11th. Date on this article is the 12th. Nellie McCool, a volunteer with Free Hot Soup Kansas City, told the Star, "Everybody was ready to stand up for themselves. We were prepared to face the law." The conflict occurred on November 4th when inspectors descended on the picnics that Free Hot Soups KC organizes at parks across the city. The Star reported, "It looked ugly Sunday. Home-cooked chili, stacks of foil-wrapped sandwiches, vats of soup, and other food prepared by volunteers with Free Hot Soup Kansas City.
We must put a stop to this terror."
Dumped in bags and soaked in bleach to make sure that no one tried to recover it.
God.
I mean, that's like destruction of somebody else's property. That's a crime.
No, it's not. Not when the government does it.
It's not a crime when the health inspector does it. Being a government agent means never having to say, "I'm guilty." The city health department said in a statement at the time they had received multiple complaints about the gatherings and said that the events were not properly permitted.
"You must have our papers. Where are the papers? We will bleach this."
Quote, "The group organizes volunteers to prepare food at homes and transports the food in personal vehicles to serving locations. The food is not kept at required temperatures for food safety."
My God.
They added that Free
See, they're
Hot
just
Soup
doing to
KC,
protect the homeless. See? They're trying to keep the homeless healthy. We don't want them to get whatever nasty thing would develop from the kitchen to the serving station if they didn't keep it on a hot flame or something like that.
Health inspectors added that Free Hot Soup KC chose not to obtain required permits to follow safe food handling practices. Kansas City Director of Health Rex Archer told the Star that homeless people faced a danger from foodborne illnesses.
Read the statement about them not pulling a permit.
The people eating out of garbage cans, right?
Right, those people.
Free Hot Soup KC chose not to obtain required permits to follow food safety handling practices.
Okay, so very misleading statement there. They didn't get the permit. That doesn't mean they're not safely handling the food.
Right.
That just means they didn't get the permit. They're making it sound like because they didn't get the permit, they're dangerous. But in the reality is, these people are probably people who understand that you're supposed to wash your hands.
They make it sound as though if you don't have the permit, you cannot safely handle
That's
food.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They're making it sound as though this
not that
group,
you choose not to or that you're not knowledgeable, but without the piece of paper
that you don't know.
that there's no possible way that you can prepare a sandwich the correct way.
It's insane. But this is what they want you to believe. They want you to believe they're there protecting you, and that if it weren't for the health department and their crew of bleach-armed bureaucrats, that we would all be in jeopardy, that we'd all be out there suffering because these kitchen crews, without their permits, would be all of a sudden doing business in a very dangerous manner. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. And again, it goes against all evidence of the contrary, which is to say that restaurants frequently have standards much higher than the government sets as far as what minimum food safety standards are concerned. They're certified by organizations that are independent of the government, like ServSafe, which is one of the main ones. You'll see their certifications. If you look around when you're in restaurants, you'll sometimes see the name ServSafe because there's like a certificate hanging on the wall, and that means that they've been certified. Each one of the employees has gone through the ServSafe training course and, make sure that they know how to handle stuff.
An administrator for Free Hot Soup KC says to us it's discrimination. It's essentially saying there's a problem that we just want to sweep under the rug and get rid of, but these are human beings and they deserve to be heard and seen. Eric Garbison of the Cherith Brook Catholic Workers House told the Kansas City Star that this amounts to criminalization of people who are homeless and the people who are supporting them.
How many times does this have to happen? I mean, it was Florida years ago where we were reporting on the Orlando food not bombs that was getting arrested.
And then Fort Lauderdale, there was a story in Louisiana, I forget the year, where some hunters had donated food, and because it wasn't properly packaged and labeled, even though it came straight from the butchers.
Right.
We
just slaughtered it.
It wasn't put in the little cellophane wrapper.
Yeah.
And so therefore bleach got poured on all of it.
Now, did anyone get arrested in Missouri?
Doesn't say that anyone was arrested. Just says that the food was seized, thrown in garbage bags, and then poured with bleach.
Right. So if they don't actually arrest somebody, then there's no court hearing. Right.
See, this is a violation of due process.
Yeah.
If they're destroying something or taking something without giving you a trial or the opportunity to take it to court,
I guess you could file a civil suit against them. But that's different.
You're assuming that the legal system is actually there to protect people.
He's a dreamer.
There's no justice in the justice system. It's just us getting screwed over.
We got more coming up here in moments. You want to talk about screwed over? Let's look at Venezuela and their food situation on the way here. You can also bring up whatever's on your mind. Plus, Russia versus Google. That's still on the way tonight here on Free Talk Live.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars.
To join the American Cannabis Summit, visit acs2018.com or text JOIN to 76280. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280 now.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, November 30th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,222 per ounce. Zen is trading at $6, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,028. Antiwar.com reports many senators are expressing growing anger at the administration's not being forthcoming on the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, and in particular the intelligence tying the murder to the Saudi crown prince. This became a major problem on Wednesday when a closed-door briefing was held on the matter. The details of the briefing were classified, but the only two attendees from the administration were Secretary of Defense James Mattis and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Neither appears to have had much insight on the matter, and both claim to lack any smoking gun intelligence, which is where it would be nice for an intelligence official to chime in, but CIA Director Gina Haspel did not attend the meeting, meaning the CIA assessment of the murder was not a topic of discussion. Some senators say they are particularly angry at her absence and view it as a cover-up attempt. That anger might be justified, as according to several senators during the briefing, Mattis and Pompeo confirmed that the White House directly blocked Haspel from attending. The CIA assessment reportedly concluded with high confidence that the Crown Prince was behind the murder, and Haspel is one of the few administration officials said to have heard the audio of Khashoggi's murder, something many seem to be going out of their way to avoid. Zencash has changed their name to Horizon to better represent their transition from a cryptocurrency to a pioneering platform that protects consumer data. They're working towards the day when anyone will be able to build privacy-based applications on the Horizon platform and generate income from them. This will allow Horizon to bring thousands of real-life services to the community. Services that provide freedom, utility, and privacy. HORIZEN.global. UPI reports after debate on the matter that lasted for decades, Los Angeles lawmakers have voted to decriminalize street vending ahead of a similar state law that kicks in next year. Though street vending has been illegal for years, the city has done little to stop it. About 20,000 vendors operate freely in the city, and many are immigrants, according to KNBC TV. Los Angeles was believed to be the last major city to outlaw the practice until the city council voted unanimously in favor of the changes on Wednesday. The city moved to decriminalize vending, fearing the Trump administration's immigration policies might put some vendors at risk of deportation. However, they could still be ticketed and/or fined. Business groups have pushed for new regulations, arguing areas like the Hollywood Walk of Fame are too congested to accommodate vendors safely. Under the new rules, vendors would still be barred around busy areas like the Walk of Fame, Universal Studios, Dodger Stadium, and the Hollywood Bowl during major events. Debate has endured for years on the issue, with concerns about where and how vending should be allowed, blocked sidewalks, garbage, and business-related matters. City lawmakers were still trying to solve the problem when legislators passed a new state law that bars cities from restricting vendors unless there are objective health, safety, or welfare concerns. That law takes effect in January. For the most part, vendors applauded Wednesday's decision. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the U.S. Army is investing millions of dollars in experimental exoskeleton technology to make soldiers stronger and more resilient in what experts say is part of a broader push into advanced gear to equip a new generation of super soldiers. The technology is being developed by Lockheed Martin with a license from Canada-based BTEMIA, which first developed the exoskeletons to help people with mobility difficulties stemming from medical ailments like multiple sclerosis and severe osteoarthritis. Worn over a pair of pants, the battery-operated exoskeleton uses a suite of sensors, artificial intelligence, and other technology to aid natural movement. For the U.S. military, the appeal of such technology is clear. Soldiers now deploy into war zones bogged down by heavy but critical gear like body armor, night vision goggles, and advanced radios. Altogether, that can weigh anywhere from 90 to 140 pounds when the recommended limit is 50 pounds. Lockheed Martin said on Thursday it won a $6.9 million award from the U.S. Army Natick Soldier Research, Development, and Engineering Center to research and develop the exoskeleton called Onyx under a 2-year sole source agreement. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Now Facebook is rolling out their newest feature, LifePoint, which analyzes users' histories to determine exactly when things went wrong. The new feature combs through photos, status updates, likes, everything that you put on Facebook in order to pinpoint how someone irreparably ruined their life. For example, it might highlight your friend's spring break trip in 2003 when she took her first shot, or your cousin's engagement to a guy named Scott spelled with a K.
So, Facebook must have a lot of depressing information to work with.
Well, we look for sadness indicators, positive versus negative adjectives and status updates, whether you've liked a corporate entity such as Walmart or Arby's.
One of LifePoint's most buzzed about features is the Life Compare function, which lets you see how your mistakes stack up to others.
Here, I'm overlaying my graph with a graph of a childhood friend. You can see his life ended up much worse than mine, which is great.
Anything with a profile has a LifePoint, so you can look forward to finding out when your favorite bands, TV shows, and companies started going downhill.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in here toll free and get on the air with us. Talk about whatever's on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. Those are open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. discord.lrn.fm. It's a free app. You can download the app and then get in our Discord server, join one of those top rooms, and you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with me, Ian,
Chris,
and Darryl.
So to start things out here, we're going to continue on this topic of welfare that Sarah had brought up in the last hour. The idea being that people in the United States would die in the streets of starvation if it weren't for the government's welfare program. And at the root of that particular belief is ultimately the belief that humans are bad. That humans, when given the opportunity to help their fellow human, will refuse to do so. And refuse to do so in large enough numbers to where people would die in the streets of starvation.
Yeah, that seems a little bit hard to believe to me. I certainly think that there's certain people out there who are not of good character.
Oh yeah, they are the ones pouring bleach on the people's food.
To say that there's not enough people out there of better character is just
it's a
wrong.
real negative, real negative view of a person's fellow human being.
And I would think if the money wasn't being taken from people already, there would be more people with the money to donate to charities to help people who were poor.
You're right about that, but not only are you right, there's also the factor of when you donate your own money to an organization that you support, rather than having some bureaucrats, some faceless, heartless bureaucrats take the money from you by force and then give it out in the way they think is best. When you're the one allocating your money, Chris, and you, Darryl, and you, the listener, when you're the one making these decisions, it's better allocated. You're giving your money to an organization that to you has proven its worthiness. They're helping people. They're handing out food in the park or giving people a place to stay or whatever it is that they're doing that you value. You're giving it to them because they've proven they're actually helping people. They've proven probably that they're pretty efficient at helping people, because you wouldn't want to give to a charity that blows 90% of its budget on its administrators, right? Like you don't want to give to that charity. With the government, they blow about 70% of their budget on their administrators, but you're forced to give them the money. So if you give money to a charity which gives 10% to its administrators and 90% gets out there into the hands of the people that they're actually helping, well, then every dollar given to that charity and charities like it compared to the dollars that are taken into the welfare program are like 4 to 8 times more effective. So you could actually have people donate less money. If the government welfare went away, people could donate less, even if they weren't as generous as we think they are. Even if they donated a quarter as much as is taken in welfare, it would probably go further than the 4 times the amount that's being blown by welfare, because it's being done on a voluntary basis, because those charities are being run by people who care. Because I'm not saying every bureaucrat is heartless, but the fact is there's plenty of bureaucrats who they're just there for the benefits. They're just there for the, the sweet retirement package, and they really don't care about the job that they're doing. They don't do it to the best of their ability.
There's a website. There's actually a few of them that they actually wind up looking because these charities, they have to release
numbers,
and there are groups that will look and go through and see which charities wind up doing the most good with the money, which charities wind up putting a lot of money in marketing and paying off their CEO. Looking at you, Susan G. Komen Foundation.
Wasn't Bono? Didn't he have one that was like 90% going to overhead?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. But then there are other organizations where the CEO doesn't take a paycheck.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, again, it's your choice. When it's your choice, the money goes further. The money becomes more effective. And it certainly helps when government bureaucrats aren't running into your food giveaway and pouring bleach all over the place, as Darryl was telling us about.
And it's interesting because that's actually probably the most effective charity because they're not going to have a 30% administrative overhead cost that your typical charity is.
Who isn't?
Well, a charity like this, because it's all volunteers, not getting the permits, not getting not jumping through the regulatory tape. Because of that right there usually
that's
takes
costly.
That's about 30%.
Yeah, because you got to, you want to make this sandwich? Well, you've got to have a fully renovated kitchen with a $200,000 vent hood. Make sure you get it from the official licensed distributors so they can charge you more for the installation.
I'm not even thinking of that. I'm just thinking of the permits, the legal paperwork, and then you got to hire somebody.
Yeah, but you don't get a permit unless you have the $200,000 vent hood. So, like, in order to get the permit in the first place,
hire people to actually, be put in position to do those things.
Right. You have to upgrade. You can't just legally in a lot of places. You can't just make a bunch of sandwiches in your home kitchen and give them out. There have been people who
that's not a commercial kitchen, sir.
So in order,
it doesn't matter that you're not using the toaster. You still need a double firewall separating the kitchen from the living room.
This crap happens to charities all the time, and that's why a lot of them can't get off the ground.
We know a guy that was trying to start a restaurant that it was going to be everything was pickled.
That's right. So no cooking.
He still had to get a firewall separating the kitchen from the serving area.
Yep.
Originally, they wanted him to get a double firewall, but they said, well, you might use this microwave.
It broke him. All the regulations broke him, and he never ended up opening his restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just...
And that happened in New Hampshire to a Liberty guy who actually got elected as a Republican, by the way, that particular gentleman.
Yes.
In this recent election. Let's go to your calls and thoughts, and then we'll tell you about the poor people in Venezuela, where it actually is hard to get food. But first, we go to Vernon. He's in New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
It's hard for me to imagine when I can't understand this concept of such kindness from humanity for those that are down on their luck. Now, I'm not advocating for welfare necessarily, but this idea that everybody is so charitable and everybody is just going to help you when you're down on your luck, I don't necessarily
Who said
think it's
everybody?
correct.
Nobody said that.
No, but I don't even think there's a majority of people that would be in
You
that,
don't need a majority of people in order to be charitable to cover the people who are really down on their luck. You need a minority who are willing to donate a small amount in order to cover it.
Not everybody throws money into the Salvation Army bell ringers that are standing outside of stores during the holiday season, but enough people donate money into those charity buckets, and that's with the burden of taxation.
Right.
So imagine how much money people could donate if there weren't a burden of taxation upon them.
The Salvation Army isn't going to make enough money to be able to provide housing for these people long term, or especially for the disabled and for the mentally
How do you know that?
Part of the problem right now is the regulation which prevent them from actually building the houses in the first place.
But
it's not expensive to build houses.
I have a brother-in-law that has lived at the Salvation Army shelter, and it's about $86 a week, and they provide 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
You're expected to find work, but that's it. It's not a long-term solution. They'll let you stay there maybe a year or two at the most.
So?
But then you're on your own again.
But that's Habitat for Humanity builds houses for people.
And those aren't even like
there's a limited supply.
There's always going to be limited supplies. We don't have, a post-scarcity world.
Well, you didn't hear what Chris was saying to you, Vernon. Chris was pointing out the government gets in the way of houses being built. We could have housing that's cheaper, but the government stands in the way.
Actual housing isn't that expensive to build. You can build tiny homes for
it's wood,
like a couple of $1,000.
Wood and some roofing,
and they've actually prevented this from happening in many places. And it's not even like you couldn't do housing that's cheaper than that.
But you have to buy the property.
There are
from
people
a
who have
private
donated the property in cities.
There's a guy here in Keene, New Hampshire, who owns the one of the shopping center properties here, and behind it, he owns a fairly large swath of woods. And he is hold on, I'm making a point that's contrary to what you pointed out here. He has been willing to allow homeless people to stay on his property. And what has been the problem? The government has come in there and said, no, you can't do this. You can't have these homeless people here. They might build a shelter that hasn't been government approved. And so they went in there and they threw these homeless people out of the shelter that they'd been built because they were supposedly trying to protect the homeless people from themselves. If you've got more to say, Vernon, hang on. We can bring you back here in a moment. Vernon, questioning the generosity of his neighbors. And, even if you think your neighbors aren't generous, does that give you the right to point a gun at their face and force them to give to your favorite organization? We're coming up here in moments. 855 450 free like freedom. Free Talk Live.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com.
With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea, email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in here, toll free, join us on the radio. We're talking about charity and how charities are more effective than governments at helping people. But then Vernon called in to say that if it weren't for the government, then how would people get houses in which to stay? We've got that discussion that will continue because he hung on the line with you tonight, by the way. It's Ian.
And Chris.
And Darryl.
If you're operating a retail business and you've been wanting to accept cryptocurrency like Bitcoin at your point of sale, at your cash register, we've got the solution for you. It's anypay.global. Get on over to anypay.global, create your username and password, and you get into the site. There's no application fee. There's no application form. It's just you create those username and password and you're in. Then you set up your back end, which is as simple as filling in your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. So for your personal wallet as the owner, you put your current crypto wallet addresses in there, and then you save that and then load up the app on your point of sale device. That's it. You're accepting Bitcoin. You're accepting Dash if you want. There's a few others in there as well, like Zen. And go to anypay.global to get started now. That's anypay.global. And for those of you who have an Android device at your point of sale, they do have the Android app. It is available. If you search for AnyPay Take Crypto on the Play Store, it should come up. There's another AnyPay out there, so make sure you get the app that's called Take Crypto, and you should be good to go. So once you load the app up, you'll put your login, username, and password in, and that's it. You're done. You're accepting cryptocurrency. Anypay.global. It's free for merchants. As we go back to Vernon in New Orleans, Vernon, are you seriously suggesting that people wouldn't have housing help in the absence of the government?
Put me on hold. I can't hear
Hello?
anything. The audio will come back here in just a minute.
Hello?
Please put me on hold. I can't hear anything.
Okay, I don't know why that.
hold.
I don't know why that is. That's strange. Maybe there's something going wrong with the network's systems there. We will try him back here in just a few moments. But his critique was, just to try to I don't want to put words in his mouth, but to try to summarize what he was saying a few moments ago, was that, oh well, the Salvation Army's, they're good at helping people temporarily, but they wouldn't be able to provide housing for people, as though without the government's welfare programs, people wouldn't be able to get help with housing. Maybe it wouldn't be the Salvation Army that does it. Maybe it would be a local church. Maybe it would be some other organization that we haven't even thought of yet.
Local churches currently, in most cases, prohibited from providing housing to the homeless.
In their facilities, you mean? Like on the church property?
Yeah.
By government zoning?
I've read numerous stories. Some of them have to do with zoning. Others have to do with other code regulation stuff, which is
regulatory red tape.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, it's all kinds of regulatory stuff.
And as I was pointing out, there's the example that we've had happen here in Keenan. It's happened elsewhere, where homeless people have been welcomed on a piece of private property.
Yep.
And the government has come in to say, nope. No, you cannot have this structure, because the homeless people might want to actually build, a little shanty or something like that they can rest in when it's, say, I don't know, snowing out or raining or something like that.
Especially here.
And yeah, is it built to code? No, of course not. It's, some kind of a shack that some homeless people put up.
It doesn't need to be built to code as long as it's safe and, which they can potentially build.
The argument is that it's not safe because it's not built to code.
But that's ridiculous. I mean, just
because maybe it's not ridiculous. I mean, if there's no exit, for instance.
The code is constantly changing, all right?
Well, are you
saying all homes in the 1970s are unsafe because they were built in the 1970s and don't comply with today's code?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, if you are in a building there's no exit from, for instance, or there's only one exit. I mean, there's certain reasons why.
If the building is small enough.
Yeah, these are not big buildings.
Right. Give me a break.
A tiny house generally only has one door.
Right.
Yeah. There's probably a window, though, in a tiny
Might not
house.
be big enough for you to fit out of, though.
There's no doubt. Look, I'm not going to try to say that a homeless shack is a safe place to live, okay? But it's probably better than freezing to death in the snow.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay? So, and people should be free to take risks with their lives. I mean, the government isn't stopping the homeless person from drinking themselves to death.
Sleeping bags is better than nothing.
How is putting yourself in a shack that's not to code less safe than dying from being out in the cold during the winter.
It's not.
That just sounds absolutely ridiculous.
I'm just telling you, that's the excuse of government. When they come in there and they say, we're tearing this down because it's not to code, the excuse is, well, somebody could, burn this thing down while people are sleeping. And it could and has happened, right? Like there's certain reasons why these governments come up with the codes in the first place is because people make mistakes when they're building or they don't think things through, well enough. So I get the concerns, but I still support freedom because freedom includes your freedom to take a risk.
Right.
Whether that risk be getting on a, roller coaster and putting yourself in, potential danger, or that risk is to drink yourself to death because even if that homeless people we're talking about, even if they don't have the homeless shack that they can't go in because they're not allowed to build it because the government's going to come tear it down.
So they freeze to death instead.
Yeah, that's not going to stop them from going out and buying a crap load of liquor and then drinking themselves to death.
And then they don't realize they're cold.
Or drinking enough to where they don't realize that they're freezing to death and then, actually, falling asleep and passing out in the snow and then waking up dead, basically. So these things can happen. The idea that, we wouldn't be able to help people. Okay, we're going to go back to Vernon here because he was the one criticizing private charity as opposed to government. Go ahead, Vernon.
No. I called in to talk about the volume and let's just pretend we're in your free society where we're dependent upon people's donations.
Mm-hmm.
People like stuff for free. Let's look at the AMP program. The AMP program has drastically reduced membership over the years, right? I heard you talk about it on the show.
It's more plateaued than anything else, but
there was some errors in the numbers.
Right, but if people are asked to pay for a show, like through Patreon or whatever, or listen to it for free, what are they going to do? They're 90% of them are probably just going to listen to it for free.
Yeah, I'd say it's about 90% of them.
Yeah, but nobody ever asked for
we're okay with that.
Anything other than a donation, essentially, right? It's not a program that anybody's saying you have to pay for.
But right, that's what we do. We give away our show for free, and then we ask for people who really value it to support it.
Right.
Right. Well, there should be a lot more people that value this type of a program, yet they're not willing to dole out money. And so the whole point is that the whole point is that that's just one of many examples of
no, it's not. It's a terrible example. You're talking about supporting a radio show versus helping somebody who's going to die.
Is he really saying that we should use violence against people to ensure that your radio show is supported?
Good question.
Because that's what it sounds like to me.
No. I just think it's one of anything that you have donations for, and you look at the amount of people that participate in those things versus donate, whether it's a charity, a radio show, anything, you're going to see that most people are looking out for themselves, and they're not going to be charitable in that way, regardless of what it is.
What does it matter to you what most people do?
Because it matters, because of the demand. There's not enough demand. There's not enough charity out there to cover the demand.
But that's not true. There's plenty of charity out there. People give billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars every single year in the United States alone to charities, including charities collecting for people halfway across the world.
Why is it that most towns have homeless shelters where you have to line up at about 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon just to hopefully get a bed? And if you're not
they're
there,
run by the government
3-4 hours before, then it's full.
It's government regulation. It's government red tape that's causing that problem.
They're run by the government.
It's not lack of funds.
Yeah, the government's prohibiting people from building shelters, prohibiting homeless people from building their own shelters. And then the government says, oh, well, you don't need to build your own shelter. We've got a shelter over here that we run. You can just come over here and, like you're saying, stand in line and hope to get in. And thanks for the call, Vernon. Appreciate it. There's more coming up here in moments. 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. Makes the perfect stocking stuffer. Get your Bug Assault today and save $10 on the Bug Beam Laser Combo only at bugassault.com.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
It's written in legalese. If you don't have training in reading that crap, it might as well be a foreign language. And as you pointed out, it doesn't matter if you can read it.
I thought I had them dead to rights. And these bureaucrats, they just like, no, we do whatever we want here at the zoning board.
Yeah, that's right.
And you'll kiss our butts.
Peon. Serf.
You'll
slave.
You'll do what we say.
Yeah. Why label them citizens?
Oh.
Why not just call it what it is? You're a serf. You're a slave.
Well,
We're the freest slaves in the world. If you don't like this slavery, you should go to some other country and be a slave. At least we got cell phones and TV and beer.
Do have beer.
Our masters let us live a pretty nice life. They let us keep 40% of what we earn.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can dial in here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. We also have our Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Whatever you want to talk about goes here. We have been talking about helping people in the absence of government forced wealth redistribution programs. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And Darryl.
And, you know, I feel bad for the people out there like our last caller, Vernon, who seem to have a real negative view towards their fellow human being, who seem to think that everybody is just in it for themselves and that nobody or very few people will help out when called upon to assist. And I haven't had that same experience in my life. I've found that people are just generally generous and helpful.
Where was he calling from? Because that
New Orleans,
might play
I think.
Okay, yeah, it's strange.
Or somewhere in Louisiana. I think he's in that region.
No. The reason I ask is because, there are certain states that are more generous than others.
Okay.
And, when I say that, I mean the people within the geographic areas.
You don't mean the state governments, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And one thing that's interesting is the people in the poorest states wind up giving more money than the people in the richest states.
How strange.
In the U.S.
I wonder why.
And
maybe they can empathize better.
There might be that. There's also there's actually an article that I pulled up, and I'm not going to read the entire thing, but the author here, he links over to something written by someone named Arthur Brooks, who said that it might have a religious explanation because 8 of the top 10 states for per capita giving also rank in the top 10 for most religious states. And if you look at the bottom end of the list...
Correlation, of course, not being causation, but interesting.
7 of the 10 states at the bottom of the donation list also come up as least religious. But then there's also the fact that the states that come up on the lower end of the donation list also have more government programs. So there could be the thinking of, why do I need to donate?
The government's
already doing it.
It disincentivizes charity.
Right. So it's one of those things to where there are a lot of different ways you could look at this data and come to a lot of different conclusions.
And people also have less money to give to charity because the government took it all from them already.
Well, no, they don't have less money. They're making more money. They might have a higher tax burden, but they're still going to have more expendable income than somebody at the lower end of the bracket. And this is only looking at per capita giving.
Okay.
So, or rather, as a percentage of income, I believe. So, 1% of income in New Hampshire is going to be higher than 1% of income in Mississippi. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing actually, lower donations in those higher income states. So, it is one of those interesting things to where, yes, there are going to be some people that don't donate to the program that you think needs to be donated to. But they might also be donating to things that I wouldn't donate to, and vice versa. And so, if everybody donated money to the Innocence Project, I'd be very happy.
That's one of your favorites.
But at the same time, that means that people aren't donating to the food bank, and they're not donating to Habitat for Humanity. They're not donating to the Humane Society. There are a lot of charities that are very worthwhile.
Yeah, and people should be free to make those decisions for themselves. And, and then, the best charities are going to get the most funding, and they're going to prove that they're getting results. That way they can get more funding. So they want to show off how they've had success stories and the individuals who have helped, they've helped. And plus, regarding people who might help one charity but not help another, there might be somebody, for instance, who is not really a fan of helping homeless people, but they might still donate. Even if they don't donate to the homeless shelter in town, if a family loses their home through a fire, they might go to the to donate to the fundraiser that they have for the fire.
They'll pitch it on the GoFundMe.
Right. So everybody's got the things that they think are helpful and the things that they want to support. And I think the difference between libertarians like us and people like the caller there, Vernon, I don't know what his viewpoint is. I always thought he was pretty libertarian, but maybe I'm misrecalling some of his calls. But anyway, the difference is that we believe in people, and we believe that people, when given the choice, generally will do the right thing.
Right.
And that you don't need to use coercive force in order to get people to do the right thing, even if not everybody is going along with what you think the right thing is.
Right.
Maybe you just weren't persuasive enough. Maybe your organization just didn't meet their level of standards. Or maybe they're just not interested in whatever it is that you are offering.
And then there could also be the thing of people not necessarily having the money to donate to everything they want to donate to.
Well, sure, and that's where the question comes in of if you didn't have taxation, if you actually got to keep all the money that you earned,
Right.
then you would have way more that you could then, in theory, donate to organizations. So, unfortunately, we don't live in that world. But even though we do live in a highly taxed, highly regulated world, there's still a tremendous amount of donations and charitable giving and volunteering that goes on. And I think that that's all the evidence you really need. The fact that all the taxation and all the government that exists, that on top of that, people still donate, people still contribute, and they still volunteer, really goes to show that we are talking about people are good, that they are mostly good, that, yeah, some people might be skinflints, they might be stingy, they might be rude, but you know what? That's okay, because we don't need them. Yeah. And the people who are running these charities, they don't care what percentage of the population donates to their charity. They care, can they meet their goal? So the charity comes up with a goal to raise a certain amount of money. There's one of them around here, the United Way, which, of course, for those that don't know, United Way is sort of a charity of charities. They collect money and then they distribute the money to local charities. And it's a way for somebody, and I'm sure there's critiques of the United Way. Okay, fine, put those aside for a moment, just explaining what they do. They have a listing of local charities that when the United Way is funded, they fund those charities. And it's a way for somebody to cut one check who wants to do a lot of charitable donations. Right. But you just cut the one check and then let the United Way handle giving it out to the other local charities. That way you're not, driving around for 2 days cutting checks to 15 different charities.
Which may also be a better way to donate to charity, especially if you don't know which charities are efficient. If they're evaluating those charities before they donate forward the money on.
Right, they're providing you the service of not having to do that for yourself. Now, again, you have to trust the United Way is doing a good job of that sort of thing. And of course, you can audit them too, I'm sure.
And have you heard of Giving Tuesday?
No, I have not.
So it's the Tuesday following Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, right.
Where there's just, over the last few years, I don't remember exactly when it started, but over the last few years, charities have started pushing of let's have one day where we focus on trying to get people to donate.
So like right after Cyber Monday, basically.
Right after Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
Couple days after Black Friday. This year, an estimated $363 million was donated to charities on Giving Tuesday.
Not bad.
Yeah.
On one particular day. And there were a lot of charities that they'll get limited matching funds of will match anything donated on this particular day.
Right.
$363 million. That was an increase of $63 million from 2017, which was an increase of over $100 million from 2016. That was an increase of $50 million from 2015.
Yeah. To me, the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, you're giving some of it. There's just so much evidence to show that people are generous, people are willing to help, and they're interested in helping. But if your worldview is the opposite, if you hold the worldview that people are bad, that they're stingy, that they're mean-spirited, they're rude, they don't care about their neighbors, if that's what you believe, then you shouldn't be surprised that you find evidence to support that belief. I mean, that's true for a lot of us, right? Whatever it is we believe, we're likely going to find the evidence that supports that belief. So when you see somebody behaving badly, you're going to chalk that up to, see, all people are bad. That person over there is behaving badly. You'll notice the bad behavior more often if that's what you believe. More coming up.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops. Get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. Former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars.
To join the American Cannabis Summit, visit acs2018.com or text JOIN to 76280. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280 now.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Moments remain here in this radio edition of Free Talk Live, but we got more actually coming up here tonight on a special after show only available on the Twitch video streaming platform over on our Twitch channel, which is over at twitch.lrn.fm. Just go to twitch.lrn.fm. Make sure you follow the Twitch channel there. That way you can get notices whenever it is we go live and bring you episodes of Free Talk Live. Because, again, all of our radio show hours are aired live on Twitch. You can, of course, download them later. You can watch later on the Twitch archives. And now we do this after show thing, which this will be our third after show in 2 weeks. So we did one 2 Tuesdays ago, one this Tuesday, and now we're doing one here tonight. And it will be no FCC censors. So open phones with no FCC censors because no radio stations.
21 hours wasn't enough, Ian?
Yeah, no, actually, we did a 3-hour after show on Tuesday night, so that's 24 hours total of Free Talk Live, and then we don't know how long it's going to go tonight. So, yeah, I mean, we're having fun with it. It's if it's fun, we're probably going to do it, and so hopefully people will participate, but we'll see how it goes. So check it out, twitch.lrn.fm. Let's go to the phones, to the fun, and if we get the chance, Chris, you did have that story about Google versus Russia.
Yeah, I still have it.
David, first, though, in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'm only calling because of what I heard you guys talking about. And first of all, I with you in that what you propose, in regards to welfare, what you propose, I agree with. The libertarian system, as you described, without redescribing it all over again, And let me go one step further and say that I don't know how this fits into the libertarian model, but I would actually prefer a tribal warrior society over the government that we have right now. Because, for instance, in a warrior society, nobody would have touched my children because they'd have died trying. Because I'd have made sure that I was part of a warrior society that would protect me against anybody who would come and try to destroy my family like that. So now taking it back to what you're talking about, welfare, there is, and like I said, in the context in which I agree with you 99.9%, but there's some factors that I never hear discussed, not just in this discussion, here in this forum, but anywhere in any forum. And in your libertarian model, you do have an answer for this as to what would happen, and you can share with me what that would be when I lay this out to you. One factor that never gets covered, or one set of factors, and I'll just pick on one very specific one, for instance. Before our modern, quote-unquote modern wealth system that contains the current welfare system that we have, when the care of your children and your invalids and your elderly was done by the families themselves and close friends. And we don't, for the most part, or to a great degree, we don't do that anymore. When your mom and your dad get old, if you didn't have money, half the population doesn't have money to buy a policy that will cover mom and dad when they're in the old folks' home needing 24/7 care, which costs like $90,000 a year.
Money. Yeah.
And so the current system covers that. Once you get into the Medicaid system, after you've lost all of your assets, your overvalued home, your overvalued cars, your bank accounts, once you've lost everything, you qualify for Medicaid, and Medicaid will pay for old age care. And in the day and age we live, almost nobody does that themselves. Most people, their parents end up going to professional care. And if we got rid of for instance, being specific, if we got rid of Medicaid that paid for, the care and housing of elderly people, all of the family members that are now out, being productive money-wise, earning money and paying into the system one way or the other, whether buying their own policy that will cover mom and dad or paying into the tax system that then has Medicaid cover mom and dad, if they had to come back home and do it themselves, all of those people would come out of the workforce, and that would be just fine. It's just that the economy would then shrink because those people would not be producing in the economy.
I'm missing what you're saying here. Why would the people who want to help their parents in old elderly age have to leave the workforce?
Well, because they'd have to come back home and take care of mom and dad because the government's not doing it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So there would be other, I'm sure, organizational, systems, right? So if you look at the amount of money that people pay into, let's just say, just Social Security, right? This is the great government program that's supposed to take care of people when they get old, which of course we know there's no lockbox. It's not being, invested. It's just tax the young to distribute that wealth to the old people.
It is a Ponzi scheme by definition.
Right. And if I recall correctly, I think the amount taken is approximately 15% when you total both sides of the Social Security so-called contribution.
Yep.
So every pay period, every paycheck that somebody gets, their check would have been 15% higher, right, if they had not had to pay into Social Security. So that's money right there that you could donate to an organization or give to your grandparents or parents or whatever.
Yeah,
that is money that should be yours, that your boss, that your company you work for is allocated to you. That's money they otherwise could pay to you if they didn't have to give it to the federal government.
It's something like closer to 70% though in terms of
70
taxes.
Wait, what?
In terms of total taxes. So
I was just talking about just Social Security.
I know you're talking about just Social Security, but that kind of is underwhelming to me considering.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There's another 15% that you don't even know that you should be getting paid from your employer because it's a tax that is directly. So you might see on your paycheck 15% is taken for Social Security.
Well, for Social Security, it's 7.5 from you, and then the employer matches 7.5.
But it's still 15% total all of it would be yours
Right.
otherwise.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to make out is that it's something like 30% for your average individual ultimately is being taken out.
You mean as far as like income tax total?
Yeah, and it ends up being, again, your average individual, not necessarily. If you're at the lower end or the higher end, you might have more or less. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not going to show up on your taxes, like on your, what do you call it, your paycheck. It doesn't usually show up then.
Well, the 7.5 won't show, but for as far as your half of Social Security, they will show you that.
Right. And then
But
on top of all of that,
there are
people
taxes,
don't
yes.
understand.
No,
Correct.
It's not hidden. It's listed on your pay stub.
No, but he's saying
Some
the
of
other
it's not.
7.5 is hidden.
Yeah,
That's
some
not
of it's
listed.
not.
May I?
Yes, sir.
May I suggest something? We have a model that already did exist. If we travel back in time and before Social Security, so if you want to go back, before the 1920s, or if you want to go back before 1900, whatever you want to do.
You mean mutual aid societies?
No. Well, yeah. All of life. So what in reality? Because people generally do the best that they can do with what they have. And so if you go back to a period of time before this existed, what in fact were people doing? Because by definition, they would have been doing the best they can with what they had at hand. So when mom and dad got old, or if you had a disabled relative, handicapped, whatever you want to say, that could not take care of themselves, and you had small children, who did those chores? Who took care of those people when there wasn't a professional that came to the house, or a professional where you shipped mom and dad off and to get rid of them?
Families and friends, I would imagine.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that families basically stayed together for generations in like the same house.
I even remember my family helping my grandma before she passed away. And
that's my.
I know.
That's my point. That's my point. Is that we've already lived that, and so we can look exactly what did people do, and what you just described is what people did. For some reason, they weren't banking some sort of money into some sort of fund because they weren't paying Social Security. They weren't, even though they could have, they weren't doing it. They were doing it themselves for some reason. So the question is, Social Security didn't exist, and they weren't taking the money that they weren't paying into Social Security and buying some coverage plan or putting in the bank or burying in the backyard or in the mattress or anything like that. They weren't doing that. And the question is, so why? Because if we're suggesting taking away the Social Security welfare, whatever that provides that kind of stuff now, if we're suggesting taking it away, what might you end up with? And we already have the model of what we had before it existed. So how would it be different now if we got rid of the Social Security?
Because families aren't generally staying together for 3 generations in the same house. Life has evolved over the last 100 years.
But maybe they would.
Which is why we're looking at things different than we did 100 years ago.
You don't have to live in the same house, though.
What I'm saying, though, if you took away the Social Security system, and I'm not saying that I like it the way that it is, but I'm saying if you took it away, I think you would find people coming back out of the workforce. Because nobody was when they went to work, nobody was volunteering to go to their house and take care of their mom. And so
David, thank you for the call tonight. Appreciate it. So you'd see people organize themselves in a slightly different way, and it would likely be far more effective. More coming up on twitch.lrn.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you to go this way? You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this